I'm going to walk you through the 3 things that helped me go from never having a profitable month in sports betting to making over $20,000 with arbitrage betting. And this is not just me doing this. There's people like Arbologists who've made over $60,000 since he started arbitrage betting. But if you've never heard of arbitrage betting, it's essentially a mathematical formula where you're going to place a wager on both sides of a bet. So for example, over LeBron James points and under LeBron James points. But the way you set it up, you win no matter what happens. And this is because there's so many sports books that they all can't be in sync together. So sometimes one sports book will have the under at plus 100 and the other sports book will have the over on the same exact line at, for example, plus 20. So now if you bet the proper sizes, you win no matter what. And I would be lying to you if I said there was no risk at all involved with this. I'm going to even walk you through some of those in this video and how you can avoid them to the best of your abilities. But that's enough of an intro. I'm going to start walking you through this entire process. What you're going to need to get started is access to a couple different sports books. For me, I started with DraftKings and FanDuel. And if you're in a state that doesn't have a lot of books like Georgia or maybe Texas, don't worry, you can still do this using sweeps like ProfitX, Novig, Fliff. All of those are typically available in those states. You're going to need some sort of bankroll to start this up. I started with $500. You would be most comfortable with probably $1,000 to $3,000 in bankroll to start this up though. I'm going to be using Oddsjam, which is a software that will actually show us all these opportunities. And you're going to need a little bit of patience to learn the process. Tip number 1, and the first thing you absolutely should do is maximize the bonuses as best as possible. So if you have a sports book that you haven't opened, but it's available in your area, go open that sports book and then take advantage of those bonuses. Fanatics is super good for this because you can actually get up to $1,000 in bonus bets. But if you don't have Fanatics in your area, I would suggest FanDuel, DraftKings, BetMGM, Bet365, and Hard Rock. My very first week using Oddsjam, I was actually able to use their promo converter tool and make over $800 for my bankroll. So I went from having $500 to having $1,300 in the first week. I actually have a specific video breaking down exactly how you can convert these bonus bets using Oddsjam promo converter tool, but that's not what this video is about. Step 1, I just want you to know you should be taking advantage of these promos. Number 2 is start small and figure out what process works best for you. And here's exactly what I mean by that. You should set up your filters so you're doing 1% Arbs when you get started. My first 10 to 15 Arbs were about $20 each side because I wasn't comfortable doing $50 or $100 sides because I hadn't gotten my process down yet. For me personally, at the very beginning, my setup was just all mobile. I did everything on my phone because I worked really quick that way. And if you have books like DraftKings, BetMGM, or FanDuel that have one-click bet options, I would actually suggest doing mobile and just having a screen up on your computer so you can track those bets and if they've moved at all. When you actually want to place these bets, it's going to be part of your process as well. Are you somebody with a family so you can't really be on your phone a lot after work? You're probably going to be doing a lot of pre-game arbs, maybe in the morning, during lunch, or right before the games tip off. But if you're somebody like me that typically watches a lot of these games already, especially during NFL and NBA season, and you're going to be on your phone during that, you can actually do a lot of live arbitrage bets. Now that you know that you're set up a little bit and what time of day you're going to be doing this, I would suggest now choosing bet types that you know. So if you know a lot about the NBA, MLB, and NFL, I would start there, obviously when those sports are actually live and happening. But if you know nothing about soccer or tennis or golf, I wouldn't necessarily go there because unless you're using a one-click bet option, you're going to have to manually find those bets, which for me can be pretty confusing because you don't know the names, the terminology nearly as well. Tip number 3 that I have for you actually goes into the live arbitraging part, and that is moving to live arbs as fast as possible. There's tons of advantages to these live arbs. Number 1 being that you can recycle your bankroll multiple times a day. And what I mean by that is, let's say you have $1,000 to bet. You can take that $1,000 during the NFL season, for example, and bet that entire $1,000 on the noon games. Then, by the time the 3 o'clock games start, you will have gotten most of that $1,000 back because those bets will have settled. So you can now bet your $1,000 again. Then, for the Sunday night game, you will have your $1,000 back by the time the 3 o'clock game's end, and you will now be able to bet your $1,000 again. So let's say you average 2% per day on these arbitrage bets. This is on the lower end. I typically average anywhere from 4 to 6% on average. If you're betting $1,000 in total per day because you're doing only pre-games and you're not recycling through your bankroll, you'd be making $20 a day, which is good. But if you're recycling your bankroll multiple times a day, like the example I just showed, you would go from that $20 to $60. So you're actually making money 3 times as fast. But not only are you able to recycle your bankroll more, but typically live arbs have much bigger opportunities. That's where you're going to hit those 4, 5, 6, and even 10% arbitrage opportunities. And the last big benefit of arbitrage live betting is that it's going to help you avoid limits. To make a long story short, places like DraftKings can limit your books if they see you're really sharp with betting. And all that means is, let's say LeBron James points is plus 100 at around noon, and you place the bet at plus 100. But then by the time the game actually tips off, the line is minus 150. Well, you just gained 50 points of advantage there because you have what is now a minus 150 bet at even odds. This is what's known as CLV, or closing line value, and it's a lot harder for books to calculate this if you're doing live arbitrage betting, which is why you can make these accounts last much longer if you're doing live arbitrage betting. 2 other quick tips to avoid the limits that I just talked about. Number 1 is use round numbers. So don't bet $76.32. Just bet $75 and maybe you lose out on $1.30 of profit there. Number 2 is to still make some normal bets so you look like a normal bettor. Put in some parlays, put in some long shots. Even if you're only going to put $5 on stuff like that, use the bonus bets, use the same game parlay profit boost that FanDuel and DraftKings give you so you look like a more normal bettor. Putting all these tips together is exactly how I was able to do over $4,500 in the month of January alone. And in the month of April, I did over $5,700 just from arbitrage betting. And I'm doing all of this with just 1 to 2 hours a night. So needless to say, arbitrage betting has completely changed how I sports bet. I went from never winning anything to making over $20,000 since January using only arbitrage betting. If you want to get started, the software that I'm using for all of this is OddsJam. You can actually click the link in the description to get started with a 7-day free trial so you can try it out for yourself. And then if you do decide to sign up, use the code Clark, as that'll give you 35% off. If you have any questions, make sure you drop them in the comments below. I will 100% answer them, and take a look through my other videos for some more in-depth walkthroughs of exactly how you can set up OddsJam and get started in the next 24 hours doing arbitrage betting. Appreciate you watching the video. Subscribe for more videos like this.